As I have stated before, music within video games is just as important as any other aspect that comes from that game. So I wanted to talk about music again, but different this time. Let me explain. Today we're going to talk about those standalone individual songs that stand out among the rest of them. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about. So today we are going to cover my personal top 15 songs from games. Why 15, you may ask? Well, I just couldn't narrow it down to 10, so I decided to share 5 more with you, because that's how much of a great content creator I am. Totally not a humble brag. So, time to establish some rules. First off, the usual. There will be one per series, as I would spam every living out of the Mario and Luigi series again, because I miss Alpha Dream, and you should too. Also, there will be no songs that already existed before being added to said game, meaning that these songs needed to have been added for the sake of being put in the game, made with the intention of being used within the game, or a part of the game itself. So with all of that said, strap in, pop on your headphones and turn the volume up as we cover the top 15 video game songs today.
Let's go for it. Right now you count this. Although this was the beginning, because the end is here.
Well, if there was going to be an obvious pick for this list, this was going to be it. And I had to put it somewhere, so I was going to put it at the top, so therefore I didn't have to mention this again at the number 1 spot, because it's not fair on you guys to hear me talk about the same thing over and over again. So, starting off. We have the Comet Observatory from Super Mario Galaxy. Now, the job this song had was making the observatory a warm and welcoming environment and to feel safe. And it does this job in spades. I absolutely adore this song. Every single part of it. It holds so many core memories for me, and I shall forever associate this song with this game and all the memories of my childhood whilst playing it. But I need to talk about new material, which is why I'm placing it so high. If you're curious as to where I placed this entire soundtrack in my previous list, if you look to the top right hand corner, there will be a link to the video, but we're going to leave it there. I don't want to bash you all over the head with how much I love Nintendo's orchestra and how they fucking nailed every single song in this game, but we've only just begun, and if I'm honest, what a way to begin with such a fantastic melody. With all of that said, shall we move on? Okay, so another game that I have talked a lot about on this channel. So, you guys ever heard of Team Fortress 2? Look, I know I have talked about this game to death, but it is all for a good reason. I've covered the characters, the weapons, the soundtrack, and I just kind of want to go back and highlight my personal favourite from it all. So, what's it going to be? Archimedes? Rocket Jump Waltz? More guns? Robots? Exclamation mark. No, we're going to go back to the character that I love most. Medic! Okay, if anybody ever asks you what it feels like to play Medic, play them this song. Its slow build combined with its absolute madness forming in a crescendo completely summarizes the feeling of playing Medic. That slow build as you watch your Uber counter go up, ready to make the push for the objective, combined with juggling teammates that are currently bleeding out of every possible orifice. Like, seriously. Heavy. I didn't even know you could bleed out of that. Sorry. And it just fits perfectly Medic's playstyle and the feeling of playing this character. And if I'm going to be honest, it is the perfect theme for the savior of the teams of Red and Blue. So, Call of Duty. Yeah. Given where the series is at now, I think we can all agree that Activision have long outstayed their welcome with this series and how much they've butchered the same gameplay loop over the past few years. But I'm not here to talk about the current state of Call of Duty. I'm here to talk about music, and there is one certain song that I think we can all recognise, at least me personally, as something that holds a very core memory for a lot of people growing up with these games, especially going back to the earlier years. It's a very interesting song as well. So if we take it back, say, to a small side mode that was introduced in the 2000s, Zombies was a bit of a shock, and especially when you get to Black Ops 1. That's right, I wanted to talk about Damned. It's a very interesting song. It's subtle, it's smart, and it just lingers, is the correct word I think I'm looking for. In that it's there. It's always there. It's always been there with us since the start of Zombies, when it picked up steam, when it began to find ground in Easter eggs and telling stories like in Black Ops 1. Damned has been there. And I think it's important to recognise that. And I think we can all agree that this is a jam that will never grow old. And I think we can all agree that it's still creepy, even to this day. Okay, time to get a little old school with this one. Let's go back to November 1990 when Nintendo were working things out with the SNES and decided to make Super Mario World. It's a fantastic game, gameplay-wise, design-wise, everything-wise, soundtrack-wise, and so that's where we're going to talk about the athletic theme. I don't care that this song is simple, I don't really care that it's nothing special, it's just iconic, and I just cannot forget it. It plays on repeat in my brain. And I think we can all agree that whoever's playing on that piano did not get paid enough. This song is mental. And I love the little percussion effects that get added when you ride Yoshi. I think that's adorable. And I just think it's so iconic. And it's cheerful. It makes me feel happy, like playing the game that I'm playing when this is playing in the background. And it's that kind of childhood innocence that really resonates with this song for me, because it just makes me feel so happy. And I'm pretty sure you can agree with me when, with all of these factors combined, I'm sure you'll be humming it for days to come. And I'm more than sure that that was Nintendo's intention. When you complete a game, you should feel rewarded. Whether that be with an overpowered weapon, or a secret cutscene, or in this case, our next pick, a song. PopCap were a very small studio based in Seattle, Washington, and decided that back in 2009, the world needed a tower defense game, based in puns and brain eaters. Yeah, we're going to talk about Plants vs. Zombies. Now, there are many themes from this game that are great, but I think the one that reigns supreme above them all was what we got gifted after completing the game, and this was...
Sunflower. 1, 2, 3. There's a zombie on your lawn.
There is a zombie on your lawn. Now, this song is cheesy, it is ridiculous, it is adorable, it's just lovely, it's so sweet, and it's a perfect way to encapsulate a game with a very tongue-in-cheek vibe. And if I'm honest, there's no other way that I could describe it. The chorus is catchy, the lyrics are funny, and it keeps with the game's tone. And I think that's perfect, and sometimes you don't need this ridiculously fantastical orchestral piece to emulate emotion and create a vibe.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But at the end of the day, I think it's a way to cap off an otherwise fantastic game. So, Bosses are a topic in video games that everybody knows about. Some are loved, some are hated. Some just make me ask the question about what a human thought putting this in a video game was a good idea. To make his face look like that. Sorry. Anywho, point aside about my childhood trauma. A game like Cuphead is full of bosses, and the vast majority of them hold absolute fucking bangers. Heck, even some of the overworld music is great, as well as the theme of King Dice is absolutely incredible. But for me, there was only really going to be one choice. Look, Floral Flurry is all over the place, in a good way. As tonally, it feels like a tango to the death, which is basically how the fight feels in the first place. As Kangi is fucking nuts. The guy jives, throws his own face at you, and likes to spread his seed all over the screen. That sounded better in my head. Both the fight and the music go hand in hand, as it sets the tone so well, as it's a very nice early game fight, but it's also one that kind of kicks the player into gear as they need to start taking the gameplay a little bit more seriously, as the bosses before this point have been very much a lot easier. And this jam you will catch me jiving to for years to come. So, when you have a rhythm game, it can be said that the music needs to be just as good as how tight the controls are, considering how much they intertwine with each other, and considering how much it took over the internet and YouTube, Friday Night Funkin' definitely nailed both. But I guess the question comes within, which song do I choose? Now, I know the fan favourites are going to be MILF and basically the entirety of Week 7, but I have a more or less popular and conventional choice. High is a song that I don't see many people talk about, but next to Stress is probably my favourite on the entire soundtrack. But High just sticks with me more, if I'm gonna be honest, and that's mainly due to the harmonies. They are only brief, and the fact that Kawaii Sprite put them in the first place just hits a spot for me. Like, it's ridiculous that in a game where the only lyrics of the songs are beep and boop, it's just incredible that they managed to fit that in. And then as a theatre kid, harmonies are just, they're so good. Still, I understand that MILF is very popular, but I'm gonna probably stick with the songs that don't make my fingers want to die midway through them. Still, this whole game is good and a must play, and if you haven't, please do. It is currently free. Still, I suppose we should move on from here, because I could talk about this soundtrack for days. On to the next one. Moving on to arcade games. Why do I think they have great soundtracks? Well, I do have a bit of a theory on that one. You see, when an arcade cabinet is produced, they are produced with stereo audio sets. So in my personal headcanon, when a developer knows they're going to make an audio soundtrack for an arcade title, they understand that it's going to be being played on the best kind of audio software that their company can produce. That's my headcanon. The reality could just simply be that it is a marketing ploy to attract small children towards the funny arcade cabinet that will take all of their parents' credit card cash, but we don't talk about that because I like to think companies are more than money-grubbing assholes. Anyway, have I spoken to you guys about House of the Dead? Yeah, I know it's a bit of a cliche pick, but I couldn't resist, so I'm gonna go back to the first game with this one. And I decided to pick the music for Chapter 2. Personally, it just stands out to me as it is very different to the rest. It is this techno crazy fever dream that matches the crazy zaniness of the fast-paced gunplay, combined with some creepier elements, and as well as the laugh of the Hanged Man, which kind of hints into the fact that you could possibly have been stalked throughout the entire level. Just an interesting nitpick. But personally, I think it's fantastically crazy, it matches the gameplay, and I cannot wait to hear this get remixed in the remaster. When you get a game like Minecraft that becomes a cultural phenomenon twice, once back when it came out and again now, it's easy to understand why. Everything to do with this game was taken into account and made so well. Obviously except the graphics, but that was an intentional design choice. But I'm sure at this point we all know that what I'm trying to talk about here is its music. Minecraft has a soundtrack that was made incredibly well, and it was so varied, created by C418. But I was only allowed to pick one. I had to really think about this one, but in the end I think I had to pick the first track that I ever heard. Subwoofer Lullaby is what I feel is the epitome of Minecraft. It's that nice relaxing experience that you can share with friends or just simply enjoy on your own. And this song just makes that experience so much more comforting, to the point that I listen to this song in my spare time, because it just makes things easier. Essay writing, being alone with my thoughts, relaxing. You know, it's just a nice song, and honestly, I still think this song will not be leaving me anytime soon, because at the end of the day, sometimes I just really need to relax, and I'm grateful for this song and what it can do for me. Travelling back to the arcades, we're back again with Sega, and we're going to take a step away from the shambling undead and more into the realm of racing. Stock car racing to be precise, because we are looking at Dayota USA, a classic gem from the 90s arcade scene, and a very simple game looking back on it now, but at time was genuinely amazing. Tight controlling, great looking graphics, multiplayer, but we're here to talk about its title theme. Let's Go Away. This is what I like to call a hype song, in that it hypes up the player going into this game, and I think it does its job perfectly. It hypes me up now for things that aren't even involved in gaming. Let's Go Away does it so well to the point where I've actually started using it when I run. This song, ironically though, in the arcade is actually slowed down from its original form, which I find interesting, because the one I have on my running playlist is actually faster and is the original. And you know, it works. And you know what? Fuck it. You know, I'm gonna go for a run. I will see you guys later, and I'll see you in the next entry. See ya. So, arcade races, am I right? They're fun, sometimes kinda try-hardy, other times just a bit of a random rest of RNG with friends, but they are incredibly fun games. And the one that stands out to me personally and brings something new to the table, or would that be the racetrack, would be Outrun 2. Now, Outrun has a long list of bangers, but you should all get out your umbrellas as we are about to experience a magical sound shower. Now, when I think Outrun, I think this song. When I think this song, I think of setting high scores, breaking records, and pushing myself. And yes, again, this also applies to running. But even then I think of this song. It nails the vibe. It's trying to give off this feeling of adventure, like in Outrun. You're going on a journey as it changes throughout and keeps up with the pace of you flooring it down the highway. And it's such a vaporwave and 80s style that it fits the game's tone. It just makes me feel like I'm going on an adventure, which is very interesting for a song of this style, as usually you associate an adventure with something more akin to Skyrim and its soundtrack. But travelling at ridiculous speeds, going crazy, at the same time with this song in tow, it just feels like you're gliding between traffic. And it's such a vibe! And that's why I can more than happily give it the number 5 spot on my list. Who doesn't love an RPG? And it's not a good RPG if it doesn't have good encounter music, because then the moment-to-moment gameplay becomes boring, and the grind becomes boring and unbearable, and oh my god, please make it stop. But in this case, things are different. And things are different because every time I get into a fight, I am more than ready to let the bros kick ass. It was hard picking a battle theme from across the entire series, let alone a song from the entire series, given that Superstar Saga gets my foot tapping, Brothers in Time is intense, as well as Dream Team creates this amazing sense of euphoria, but for me, it's gotta be Inside Story, and Okie Dokie is just frantic and crazy, and I love it. It's like if Alpha Dream was asked to make Garage for Kids, and then they wanted to slap a fucking harmonica in there. Props to whoever's playing that, because they are loving it, and so am I. Oh, I just need to hear it one more time. Boys, are you with me?
Oh yeah! Let's go!
Then let's hit it. So, we all know most games and their soundtracks come from the studio, and that's that. What you don't expect is that game to have a fictional band create its own album, and then have same album be released under the name of said band, with no relation to the game, except the band's music is played in the radio of the game. That game in question that I'm going to talk about is We Happy Few, and the band in question is called The Make Believers. With that out of the way, I can finally get onto the song of my choice, as it is not sung by the band, but their ex-leader / member, Nick Lightbearer, in his standalone DLC. The song in question being called Into the Night, and it is incredible. It is phenomenal. It is amazing. It sounds sexual nigh on. In both its style as well as its sound. It has a fantastic guitar solo, as well as such talented vocals. And it's just a shame that this was only used for the DLC, and it's just not talked about. The amount of effort that went into this one song for a DLC for a game that people barely even talk about is incredible, and it just goes to show the care and consideration that went into the world building of this society. Anyway, back on track. I love this song. It's incredible, and honestly, one day I actually hope to recreate it. But until that time comes, it'll be a fantastic tune I will be singing for years to come. Sonic the Hedgehog! Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh god, Sonic the Hedgehog. Look, when it comes to games, we've got some good, we've got some fantastic, and then we have the literal spawn of Satan that is great for all the wrong reasons. Still, we're not here to talk about every furry's wet dream. We are here to talk about music in Sonic games and why it's fantastic. When it comes to Sonic and music, it's usually always an absolute banger. Even 06 got this right, which is still ridiculous if you think about it. But I'm here to talk about Sonic Colors. Now, it was a toss-up between a couple of tracks in the game, but I decided to pick specifically the one you hear first. Reach for the Stars was probably my introduction to the Sonic series, as well as my introduction to how great the music is in this game series, and so when I hear it, it is a massive nostalgia trip, as well as an absolute banger. It's not as, epic as Live and Learn, it's not as memorable as City Escape, but Reach for the Stars just means something to me, And it means something to me in the sense that it reminds me of the time that I got colours and I used to play it with my little brother. And Sonny, if you're watching this, you will know exactly what I mean. And it is one that will keep me coming back to playing this game for years to come. And that is why it is going to sit here at the number 2 spot on this list. Okay, this was the hardest entry to write in this entire list. It's even hard to talk about now, in a good way. It's just, I absolutely adore this song, and it means so much to me that it was hard to put into words and describe without talking for ages, as well as rambling on, and I didn't want to completely turn you guys' brains into mush. So, there is something about this song. I don't know if it's the chords, or if it's use of natural chord progression, but it almost brings a tear to my eye every single time I listen to it. In a good way, of course. So, this song just feels like raw emotion to me. In every sense, it simply does what it says in the title, as it truly feels like I'm coming home to be reunited. It just feels right. This song just tells a story, one that I feel is very much applies to myself. I live in London, I live away from my girlfriend and my family, and sometimes the journey home takes a bit of time, and sometimes I just sit there and watch as the train pulls into the station and I see them waiting for me at the platform, and this song just feels like that emotion that I feel every time I come home to see them. So, with that said, let's talk about the song and its context within the game. Undertale is a fantastic game, full of lovable characters, fun gameplay, fantastic music. And it is all thanks to Toby Fox, and his true talent shines through with his game's music department. But this is about one song in particular, and I want to talk about the scene in which this song takes place. This song, along with this scene, is one of the biggest emotional payoffs I've ever seen in a game. The entire adventure across the game has been building to this point, and this song complements it perfectly. And it plays no matter where you go through the underground, whether you go all the way back to see Asriel again, or whether you just go back to Snowdin to see the town folks. It truly is you reuniting with your friends that you've made along this journey. And it encapsulates all of the emotions you're feeling. This broke me the first time I saw it. And I cried, because I'd been so immersed in the game that I'd been playing and its characters, and when this song played, it hit me hard. And anytime I hear it after that, I still get those same feelings of pure happiness, and it's never gone away. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed listening to my opinion. This has been the Ginger Gamer, and I have a train to catch to go home, and someone to see. So, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.